Welcome to She Sells Radio. It's episode 100. I feel like we need to have a party. I am so grateful that you're here. And whether this is the first time that you're joining, and welcome if it is, or whether this is the 100th time that you're joining, and I'm so grateful for your listenership and for your longevity. I just want to say I'm so glad to be able to spend this time with you. And it's funny how we put pressure on ourselves. This is probably the fifth time I've recorded this episode, and I don't normally do that. Usually I'm a one and done type of girl. Um, but with this, it's like, man, we can put pressure on ourselves to have it be perfect and have it be right and have it be so epic. And really, what I want to do here is I want to speak to you from the heart. And obviously, this podcast is about sales. It's about how do you grow your income and your wealth? How do you heal your relationship with money and grow your business? And those are all things I care deeply about because they matter. But today, what really felt right was to almost think about this. I'm planning on sticking around for a lot longer, but think about it almost like a deathbed. Like if I could speak to you from my deathbed and say, what are the lessons I've learned in my 35 years of life? Whether you think that's a long time or a little amount of time, it's all relative, right? But what are the biggest lessons that I've learned? Some of them have to do with money and sales, and some of them don't. But I want to share this almost as if I were speaking to my son, Jack. And that's the beautiful thing about podcasting is we get this opportunity to create a platform where we can hopefully impact people for generations to come. And so, maybe you're listening to this in real time. Maybe you're listening to this centuries from when it's being recorded, depending on technology and all of those things. But I want to share my life lessons that I think will help you the most. I think a lot about my clients when I record these. I think a lot about my friends. I think a lot about, you. I know a lot of you who listen because you've written in. And so these are the 5 things that to me are the most important, the biggest life lessons that I have pulled out and cultivated, extracted over, over these 35 years on earth and over the 100 plus episodes that we've been recording here as well. And so I want to just get right into it. And the first one, this one's really important. And it's that all of the money in the world does not matter if you're not happy. It really doesn't. Now, I know that seems counterintuitive. And I know you're like, Elyse, this is a podcast about sales and money. And yes, and that's part of why I wanted to start with this is because so much of what I teach is about money. And I love money. Money is super important. I will take all of it. More, please. Thank you. Yes. And that's been a big core wound of mine that I've healed over the years is my relationship with money. And it's something that I really work on with my clients too, because a lot of us, almost all of us tend to have some wounding in that area. But money is really important. Money is really important. And one of the best books on this topic is The Science of Getting Rich by our boy, Wallace D. Wattles. What a name, right? And he teaches that to live a full life, you must be wealthy. And I know that is probably triggering to probably not all of you, but it's very possibly triggering to you if you're listening right now. It would have been very triggering to me a few years ago because I didn't know what money actually was, that it's just a tool to help expand you, to help bless your life. And money just makes you more of who you already are. But that we're here to have a really expansive experience as these spiritual beings having a human experience, that you need it to live a full life on this planet. It's the way that we operate. It's the way we live. But here is the thing, that I would not have thought, I would not have believed this even, 18 months ago, is that, and this is true, money will not make you happy. Okay. Now, money is very helpful. I would always rather have money than not, 100%. But if you're searching for it because you think you'll be happy, then that's not how it works. It's not how it works. You've got to get happy first and realize that you actually don't need the money to be happy in order for it to come in. And I know that's super frustrating, especially if you're in a place where you're like, well, I don't have the money I want right now. And when I didn't have a lot of money, I didn't believe that. I said, I can't really rest. I can't really relax. I can't really chill until I have more money. And that's part of why it is important. And I'm with you. But I'll tell you the way to have more money come in is to focus on getting happy first. It's to focus on feeling whole first. And I coach a lot of women who are just like me. I mean, imagine that, right? For those of you who are coaches, you know your clients are attracted to you because they can relate to your story. And so a lot of the clients I coach are just like me, and one of their core wounds is in the area of money. And money is security, and I'm actually going to talk more about money throughout this episode. But I coach a lot of women who say they're very high achievers, and they put a lot of judgment and pressure on themselves to pull in a lot of money every month, like to go from zero to a $20,000 month or zero to $100,000 month. And it's not that you can't do that, because you can. However, if you're doing it because you think you'll be happy then, if you're doing it because you think you'll be satisfied then, if you do it because you think you'll feel whole then, you won't. I can tell you right now, from a woman who has had $0 months to $10,000 months to $100,000 months, it does not matter. I had to transform as a person from the inside out. I actually had to release my need for relying on money by putting a significant amount of the money I had into a coach, and kind of like feeling on the edge, right? Where I didn't feel like I had the financial resources to make me feel stable, in order to realize how to cultivate and generate abundance from the inside out, knowing that I create money, that it's for me, it's through my relationship with God. God and I create money, and the money is the effect. Money is the side effect of me showing up fully lit up, fully in my power, fully enjoying life. And it's the same for you. Money will come. The amount of money you're bringing in will always be a match to how you're showing up in the world. And that kind of, I'm not going to go too far into that because that's part of the other lessons I want to teach here. But what I do want to share is that if you're going for more money because you think it will make you feel more secure, you think it will make you feel happier, that's not, you can bring in more money and feel that way, but it's not going to change you're still going to feel insecure, you're still going to feel unhappy. And actually the reason why we want certain things is because of how we think it's going to make us feel when we have them, right? Think about that dream home that you want right now, or think about that car that you want, or think about that business that you want to launch. And you think you want it because you think it's going to make you feel a certain way. You think it's going to make you feel expansive, proud, grounded, excited, happy. And so this is the key, is learning that you can cultivate those feelings in yourself right now, regardless of what's going on in your outer circumstances. It comes down to controlling your thoughts, which is part of why the work I do with my clients is so much on mindset and thought control and all of that. And then when you think thoughts that are aligned with the truth of who you are, which is an infinitely expansive spiritual being that can have anything, do anything, be anything it wants, then you feel good, then you feel happy, and then the money comes. Then you're a match for more of those things that you want. So what you've got to do is you got to realize how it actually works and focus on feeling happy and whole first, regardless of what your financial situation is. Now, I personally am a fan of being happy and wealthy. Like, I like that. That's my, I go for that. And I would encourage that too. But we must learn to cultivate happiness in ourselves first. And know that if you're unhappy, having more money is not going to shift that for you. You're still going to be unhappy with a lot of money. So we got to choose, and we've got to learn to discipline our mind and our thoughts to create thoughts that make us feel happy about our life, right? And that comes from study, that comes from knowing that there's always something good in every situation, that comes from creating deeper relationship with God, spirit, source, universe, whatever your language is, and prioritizing. I remember a big shift for me as someone who was such a doer, like do. I would base my self-worth on my productivity. I would base my self-worth on how much money I made. A big shift was learning to focus on how I felt. And my brain rejected this for so long, that by feeling happier, I would bring in more money, that by feeling more whole, I would attract more good into my life. But I started studying. I studied universal laws. I studied how this stuff works. And it felt so good. I finally felt so good for the first time in decades after living with anxiety and stress and fear. And then everything started to shift in my outer world that was to make it so much better, because your outer world is always just a mirror for your inner state. And so again, I know this is like high level, and I could spend probably 10 hours with a deep dive into this stuff for you today, but I want to keep it high level. But you must focus on feeling happy first and cultivate that feeling of happiness first. And none of us knows how long we have on this planet. So I would really examine, are you available to keep living your days of your precious, precious life in an unhappy state? Are you available to give away more of your power, of your energy, of that beautiful life force that you've been gifted with, to situations, people, things, circumstances that you don't feel happy with? Like, are you available for that? And are you willing to trade your life for that? Or are you not? Because this is, we don't know how many shots we get. I tend to actually believe more in reincarnation. I don't know. We'll see what happens, right? But this is the shot you have right now. And why not? Why not let yourself live it as a happy, joyful, abundant, free being? Oh my goodness. Like, why not give yourself that gift? Because no one is going to come and give you permission for it. You have to grant it to yourself. And again, when you decide to get happy, when you decide to feel whole, and shout out to my boy, Dr. Joe Dispenza. If you've been following me for any amount of time, I got to give him a shout out here, because his meditations have really transformed me in this area. But his generating abundance meditation is beautiful for this. If you're looking for more resources for how do you start to cultivate those feelings of happiness and wholeness in your heart and in your life, regardless of your outer circumstances, that's a great resource I would highly recommend for you. The second lesson that I've learned is about healing. And it's funny. So the lesson is, you can heal anything. You can heal anything. I don't care what it is, mindset, physical ailments, you can heal it. And I really started down the path of coaching that I'm doing, thinking, I just want to teach people how to make more sales. I want to help women make more money. I want to help them break through six figures, blah, blah, blah. And what I realized was required to do that, and what I realized where my heart actually is, it's in healing. It's in helping people heal core wounds. And that's why, I don't know if you've watched the movie Heal, but literally I just cry like a baby every time I watch it. And that tells me, like, okay, this is the work I'm meant to be doing with people. But it's funny, because I work with corporations and I work with really top performing executives, and I've done that for years. And then I also work with a lot of entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, you name it. I love all of you. I love all of you. But I used to just think it was the tactics. Like, I used to just think, if I give people a better calendar system, if I give people a better sales script, if I give people, a better tool, that they'll get the results they're looking for. And that's not actually true, because what I have learned is that underneath the surface of all of us, even though we don't typically show it, 98% of people are walking around with trauma today. They are. And it can be big trauma, from, alcoholic parents, to divorced parents, to health issues growing up, to small trauma. Maybe I was at a mastermind last week where the presenter gave this example of, like, you dropped something and broke it when you were a little kid, and your dad looked at you, and for a split second, you thought he was going to get mad, and he didn't. But your nervous system, your sweet little, infant baby nervous system, took that in as, oh my gosh, she's mad at me. And that's trauma that your body actually holds on to. And what happens is that if we don't learn how to heal that and heal those core wounds, then we're basically these adults walking around. It's actually more like children walking around in adult bodies with a lot of trauma and core wounds that are running the show for them, that they don't even know about. And this is why I'm so passionate about studying neuroscience and studying, how does the brain work? And for me, when I learned that, oh my gosh, until about the age of 7, you're just a giant walking subconscious, and your subconscious has to take everything it hears in as truth. And you hear your parents arguing about money, and your sweet little innocent child mind makes that mean money is bad. Money makes people argue. I don't want money. Or you see a parent who's sick growing up, and you can't save them. And that you take that in as, I'm not powerful. I can't help. I'm helpless. And we develop these core wounds. And we all have this inner child inside of us. When I first heard about inner child work, I thought it was such BS. I really did. I thought, oh my gosh, who has time for this? Well, I can tell you, it's been some of the most transformational work I've done in my life. And shout out to my coach, Kayla Kraft, for the work she's done with me on that. It's been absolutely transformational. And I now do it with my clients too. And at the same mastermind I just referenced, a lot of it this past week was more inner child healing. And, it's a mastermind for a group of women who either have seven-figure businesses or are well on their way. And, so successful female entrepreneurs, moms, and picture a dark room with loud music playing and a bunch of women screaming and beating on pillows and crying and some laughing. Like, think about that now, inner child work is not all that. You're not beating on things all the time and screaming and crying, but honestly there's a lot of it, because what happens is when we're little kids, we have these things happen, these core wounds that get formed, and usually we suppress them into our body and then we carry them with us. And then we wonder why certain situations trigger us later, whether it's with another person, whether it's with money, whether it's with sales. And this is part of, and it's because your inner child is having a repeat behavior and pattern. There's a repeat pattern and behavior that your inner child is reacting to. That's all it is. And that's part of why I'm passionate about this work now and doing so much more of the inner work. And one of my goals right now is to take this into more corporations, because you look around, if you're the CEO of president of a company listening right now, or in the leadership team, you look around and you look at your people who are working with you in the office and you think this is a bunch of well-functioning adults. Well, it's not that they can't function, but when you realize that there's parts of them that are showing up as little boys, little girls, little wounded, innocent children who didn't get their needs met, who felt abandoned, who felt insecure, that needs to be healed. If you want to take your organization to the next level, that part has to be healed. And most people will go to their grave, one, never knowing this, or two, never doing anything about it. And when I see for my clients the most profound shifts, like I work with clients who have been going to therapy for years and years and years, and struggling with the same things: anxiety, fear, overwhelm, depression. And we do one or two sessions of this, and they're like, I'm free. Like, they're not, there's always more healing, right? So I don't want to say they're healed, like there's nothing more to do, but it's the biggest shift because finally they realize what was actually holding them back. And it's not, I'm not saying that I'm so amazing, but I'm saying this work is so important and this healing is so important to do. And so whatever the thing is, I think my personal belief system is that we all are sent here to learn lessons that we then get to heal later on in life. And we are given repeat situations over and over and over again to learn how to heal those through our spouses, through our clients, through our friends. One of my original mentors, Gina DeVee, talked about there's kind of three core schools in life that we all tend to be in one of them at any given time: school of love, school of health, or school of money. And so I've definitely been in all of them. I think honestly, right now, I'm kind of like, am I in the school of love or the school of health? I was in the school of money for a long time, probably more in school of love right now. But we're in these different schools and we're here to learn and heal these core wounds. But you can truly heal anything. And a lot of it just comes from studying. For me, one of the biggest things that I have had to heal and learn how to heal, and just through studying and learning how things actually work in this world and studying with my mentors, has been learning how to trust my body. And a lot of issues in my life and challenges have come from not trusting myself, not trusting my body. And I had a 17-year eating disorder as a result of that. I knew when I miscarried our first child, I knew at that moment I did not trust my body. Sexual assault has absolutely fed into that and led to that. And a lot of the women I coach have been through one or more of those things, and men as well. I coach mostly women, but I know statistically it's something like 60% of men have also experienced some form of sexual abuse or sexual assault. It's pretty rampant. Um, and again, side note, but that's something I really want to heal on this planet. And it just comes from information, education, people healing, stuff like that. The eating disorder, I thought I would never heal. I thought I was stuck with it forever. The trusting my body, the sexual wounding that I had from that experience, I thought those were all things I thought I would never heal. But through time and through mentorship and talking about it and getting it out in the open, healing has occurred and it's been beautiful. So I just want to let you know, whatever school you feel like you're in right now, uh, you can heal it. You can absolutely heal it. Money issues, health issues, love issues, they all can be healed. And they're all beautiful lessons that are here for you to learn, um, that are here for you to learn, to love yourself again. And lots of great mentors to study to help you with this. Do a shameless plug for my stuff. I mean, I think this is, again, a lot of this, like I teach it because I've learned from other people and it's so transformational. It's what I teach now, but keep listening to the podcast, join She Sells All Access, join the 10K club, get in there and learn. If this is resonating, if the inner child work is resonating, there's a beautiful book my friend Kristen Hartnagel recommended called Little Soul and the Sun, which will absolutely transform your relationship with your parents, or whoever raised you. And it's just a lesson, but give yourself grace, give yourself time, give yourself space, and look for like one little win every day. And you know that you're healing because you start to feel better. That's your indication that you start to feel better. And that's when you know. Your third lesson that I have learned in these 35 years is that, and this one I'm going to, I think, go through more briefly, but this one is about money. And it's that money comes because of who you are. And if you want to bring in more, focus on up-leveling who you are and how you're showing up rather than like having the perfect script. Do we want great scripts? Yes. Do we want great time management? Actually, there's no such thing as time management. Do we want great time skills, prioritizing skills? Yes, of course. But it's really about you getting clear on what's the level of money you want to bring in, that you desire to bring in. And then who is the person who shows up at that level? So if you are wanting to have 6 figures a year come in, like I work with a lot of my clients on what's the 6-figure version of you, because that's what a lot of my clients are going for, their first 6 figures. How does she show up? What does she wear? What does she say? How does she take care of her body? How does she take care of her clients? What's her follow-up process like? Etc. Or if you're going for 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, 8 figures, like I am right now, like how does that version of you show up? What does she do? What does she not do? Filter everything through the lens of that person. And the money must come in. The money will come in because you'll start to think, feel, and act like the person who shows up at that level. So this is why I'm so passionate about the work that I do, because I used to just think it was the script. I used to think it was having the perfect playbook. I used to think it was this, and it's not. Those things are important, and I help my clients with them and I give them those things. But if you want to bring in, 6 figures a year, 7 figures a year, but you're showing up with poor habits and poor thinking and you're in scarcity mindset, like good luck. Good luck. It's not going to come in, or it's going to come in and it's going to go away because you've got an underlying belief system that money leaves you. And so this is why we must heal the inside. We must heal the mindset. We must start showing up and feeling as the person who has that level of money that we desire, and the money will come. And a beautiful book on this is, what is it? Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard. Such a great one. And I want man, woman, non-binary, I don't care how you identify. I want you to read that one, because we're not taught how to feel in our society. And feeling is actually half of the equation of how you're going to bring in the amount of money that you desire. Your fourth lesson that I have learned, and this one has been so healing for me and for so many of my clients too, is to be yourself. To be yourself. And look, I know you've heard that, and I know you may be tempted to gloss over this one and stop listening now, but I'm telling you, there's a part of you that you feel ashamed to bring to the surface. There's a part of you that you're scared other people are going to reject. There's a part of you that you have judgment on and that you are critical of. And what I want you to know right now is that whatever that part of you is, you were doing the best you could with what you had. Whenever that thing is that happened, whatever the thing is that you're ashamed of, whatever the thing is that you're not proud of in your life, you were doing the best you could with what you had. Okay. And I don't know why that's actually not the direction I was going to go in with be yourself, but that was really coming through me right now. So someone needs to hear that. Everyone needs to hear that. I need to hear that. We all do. Right. But we have these situations in life that make us feel shameful, that make us feel less than, that make us question our value. And I used to look to other people all the time for validation and for approval of whether my ideas were good or not, whether I was good or not. And then it really hit me at one point. I was like, why am I waiting? Why are other people going to validate me if I don't believe in myself first? Like, why are other people going to validate me if I don't fully believe in me? And here's the thing is you've got to buy into you first. You've got to buy into you first before other people will. One of my biggest things that I was scared to share about and bring to the surface is my spiritual connection. And that's an area that has really grown for me over the years. And grew up very like Southern Baptist fire and brimstone. And then I kind of like shut that part of me off for many, many years and really didn't have much of a relationship with God. And as I've recultivated it over the past, really just several years, it has absolutely become the most important part of my life, 100%. But I was afraid to share that because I was afraid. I was working in corporate and I was, quote unquote, don't talk about that stuff there. Or I was afraid of offending someone with a different belief system. And what I learned was because my spiritual connection has been so much of what has actually created the shift. It's everything that has created the shift in my life. It's how I've healed. It's how I've made transformations. It's learning that there's something much bigger than us that's caring for us and supporting us, and that you can call that in your love life, in your business, in your health, and you don't have to do it all on your own. And learning to rely more and more on that and less on just like the brute force of you showing up and making everything happen, because that's how I used to think I could achieve and succeed. And that's a really, it's like you're fighting with one hand tied behind your back all the time. So as I learned to deepen my connection with God, source, universe, and let that be my first go-to rather than my last resort, everything shifted. And that was when, if you've listened for a while, you hear about me talking about turning my annual income into my monthly income and healing the eating disorder and healing anxiety. Like that was how it happened. If you want to know, that's how it happened. And so I can't not talk about it. It's a massive disservice if I don't tell you. And so when I started sharing more of that on social media and with my clients, that's when everything exploded. That's when everything, in a good way, in my business, everything exploded in a great way when I stopped being afraid to bring all of me to the table. And the women who I get to serve in the 10K Club now, my signature program, one of the underlying things that's so beautiful that I love about all of them is they all have different spiritual beliefs. They all have different spiritual backgrounds, but they all do care about cultivating their spiritual connection, whatever that looks like for them. And for many of them too, that's an important part of their brand, but they have some fear of judgment, some fear of what will people think. And I think one of the best things you can do is you can just take yourself on a little scroll of Instagram and look at people in the spiritual space who are crushing it, who have millions of followers, people who talk about their connection with God, source, universe, and decide for yourself if there's an audience for you bringing all of you to the table. And this doesn't have to be about spirituality either. It's any part of you, that whatever the part of you that you are nervous about sharing with people, that's the part that when you bring to the surface will shift everything for you. And you never know who you're going to help through that process as well. And I'll just share this one quick little story because it means so much to me. My audience tends to be women in their 20s through, it's women in their 60s, like rocking it in our program. Want to break through six figures or more, want to sell more, but I also have quite a few beautiful men who are in my community, social media audience, podcast listeners. And I've cultivated this friendship with this gentleman on LinkedIn I think he's in his 70s, and his wife recently passed away. And he was understandably really struggling with that. They've been high school sweethearts. And I don't know how we connected. I have no idea. But I started getting really out of my comfort zone this year and sharing a lot of more of like the spiritual side of me and what I believe, and just feeling so called to do it. I was like, okay, I'll trust it and share it. And he sent me a message at one point about how learning this information was radically transforming the experience he was having of his wife's passing, knowing that she is still here. She's just in different form and he can communicate and connect with her. And we've developed this really beautiful friendship over LinkedIn. And he shares with me his experiences now of how he still connects with her, but differently, and how he's healed so much. And it's like, it brings me to tears when I think about right now, when I think about this, because these are the unexpected benefits of showing up and just sharing what you really believe. Um, you never know who needs to hear it. You never know. And this is not someone who's probably ever going to hire me to be his coach or to work with him. But this is what matters more than any exchange of money, is when you show up and you share what's true for you and you free someone to heal something that's been hurting them, heal something that's been holding them back. And so I just want to really encourage you to get out of your comfort zone, and whatever that thing is that you are afraid to share about yourself, that's the thing that's going to free you. And that's the thing that's going to free a lot of other people too. So what is that? And think about one way this week that you can take a bold move in that direction. Because I promise you, there's someone who needs you to do it, and you don't even know who it is right now, but there's someone who needs you to do it really bad. Okay, final and fifth lesson. Yeah, I knew I was going to get emotional at some point, so there we go. Took a minute, but there we go. Final lesson. Again, if I could just share, one thing from my deathbed, i.e. my 100th podcast episode. Guys, the podcast is sticking around and growing. We're going to hit top 100. We're like, this is all happening. It is growing. We're crushing it. Like, it's not going anywhere. So I just want to make sure you're aware with that positioning. It's more just life lessons that I feel called to share. Above all, focus on love. Focus on love. That's really all there is. At this mastermind this past week, we had Preston Smiles. What did he call himself? A beautiful chocolate raindrop, chocolate Hershey's Kiss. I don't know. A beautiful chocolate man is what he called himself. He came in, and the most amazing session. I love this man. He's incredible. So much healing, so much beautiful, just energy in that room when he came in. But his whole brand message is about love is all there is. Everything is love. That's all it is. And it's so true. It's so true. And anytime we get gunked up, kinked up, stuck in our small thinking, stuck in our suffering, it's because we've forgotten what's true, which is that love is all there is. And I've got this, I'm looking at it right now. If you're watching the video of this, I've got this Post-it note on my computer. And this was at our church. Oh gosh, I don't know, a few months ago, someone said this and it was so good. And I had to write it down because I thought, man, that is the best way to filter every situation, through the lens of what would love do now? What would love do now? And it solves everything. You will know instantly what to do when you filter your situation through that lens. And, I work with a lot of my clients too on healing. Like, it's very easy, especially in sales and business, to go into competition, like this feeling of, I've got to crush the competition. I've got to take them down. Like, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's actually really low level thinking, because that's buying into the lie that we're separate. We're not separate. We're all one. What you want for yourself, you need to want. Here's the best way to live. Let's say it this way. The best way to live is what you want for yourself, want for others as well. And this is something I talk about a lot with my clients. Something that they teach, that Wallace Wattles teaches in Science of Getting Rich, is moving from the competitive plane to the creative plane. And everything you want exists in the creative plane, where there's abundance, where you love other people in your space, where you realize that there's no limit, because we're living in a constantly expanding universe and world. There's no limit to the possibilities for you, for how many clients, opportunities, how much money you can bring in. All of that is abundant and limitless for you. And when we shift into that way of thinking, we make this shift from the competitive plane to the creative plane, where life is really fun and life is really good. And frankly, this is what we need more of in business and in sales. This would solve all of our problems. If we would all just focus on love, it would really solve all of our problems. And that's a worthy ideal, right? And my goal and my aim with this podcast and with my life now is really to help as many people as possible heal their core wounds and step into that place of love for themselves, for others, because everything you want comes to you then when you're operating in that space. But you don't even really need it because you're embodying love. And that's what there is. It's the highest embodiment of you as a human being. And so I just want to encourage you, if that quote resonated with you, write that down and put it on a post-it next to your computer too, or write it on your phone and have an alarm of what would love do now? What would love do now? And it's the most beautiful way to evaluate anything in your business, in your life. And I promise you, it will always guide you to the right answer. And you'll know you have the right answer because it feels good to you when you think of it. So those are your 5 lessons, my friend. I hope this served you. This is really my heart, just sharing this with you. We've got so many exciting things coming up. I've got, of course, powerhouse guests coming up for you on the podcast. If you know someone who you think would be a good fit, go ahead and reach out. Actually, email my email socialwithholly@gmail.com to share, who you think would be a good fit on the podcast. Would love to consider amazing guests for the show. And I would just say, if you're enjoying this, if you're just get ready, because I'm caring less and less about what other people think. I'm caring less and less about wanting to fit into a box to try to make other people feel comfortable. And I'm caring more and more about just speaking my truth every minute of the day, every moment of the day. And if that's resonating with you and you're on this journey too with me, then let's go. Let's go. Get ready, because episodes 101 through 200 are that, my friend, and beyond. And it's just going to keep getting better. So thank you so much. I want you to, if you want to share this with your friends, with your community on social, I'd be so honored. Take a screenshot, share it on social, tag me, send me a DM, let me know, what do you want more of? How can I help you? What do you want more content about in this podcast? What's your biggest takeaway? That lights me up. That is my biggest joy, is when you tell me how you're transforming from the content that we're putting out over here at She Sells. And I just want to let you know how much I love you and how beyond grateful I am to have had the opportunity to spend some time with you today in this episode. So you are worthy, you are loved, you are important, you are powerful, you can be, do, have anything you want. And I'm honored to be on this globe with you at this same time in history. So much love to you, my friend. Wishing you a beautiful rest of your day. And I will see you for episode 101 next week. See you soon.